Okay. All right, so today we're going to review how to write an equation given 2 points, a table, and a graph. We're going to start with the 2 points we used on Friday to make sure we remember. And we're going to go through the calculator steps first. So grab your calculator. All right, go ahead and clear it, right, by pressing second plus 712. And it should say RAM cleared once you clear it. Okay, now we're going to take these points, right? Because each point has an X and a Y, and we're going to put it in a table real quick. X, Y. So we know the first number is our X, the second is the Y. So for 2, we put it under X, -3, we put it under Y. And for the second point, the 5, we put under X, and the 9, we put under Y. So from here is where we start our calculator steps. We're going to press stat, which is 2 away from alpha, and press enter. In our L1, we're going to put our X values, so 2 and 5. And in our L2, we're going to put our Y values, so -3 and 9. Now for the third step is where we're going to create our equation by pressing stat, using the right arrow to go to calc, and we want to calculate the linear regression line in that AX plus B form. So we're going to tap 4, and we're going to press enter until we get down here to calculate. And then it gives us our equation. It tells us what our A is and what our B is. Don't forget that the A tells us our slope. So in this case, it's 4. The B tells us our y-intercept, which is -11. Remember, in the y equals mx plus b form, the a and m are the same, okay? So our equation is y equals 4x. Since it's -11, we're going to say -11. And here's our equation in slope-intercept form, okay? So that's one form we can find in the calculator. And we're going to use this to help us with writing our point slope form and our standard form, okay? So let's keep going. When we look for the point slope form, don't forget that's y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So what we're filling in is the x1, m, and x1. Now our x1, y1, we really can just choose this first point and let that help us to find our x1, y1. So x1 here would be 2. And our y1 is -3. And m, we're going to use the equation that we found in the calculator. It told us that the slope was 4, so we're going to use that here. And from here, we can just fill in for our point slope form. Uh-oh, I didn't mean to do that. All right. And you'll see what I mean. So here goes the y1, here goes the m, and here goes the x1. For y1, we said is -3. For m, we said is 4. And for x1, it is 2. Notice the double negatives, which just creates a positive. So we can rewrite this as just y plus 3 equals 4 times x minus 2. And this is our point slope form. Now to find standard form, we're still going to use the equation that we created in the calculator. The y equals 4x minus 11. Don't forget that standard form is ax plus by equals c, where the ax term is on the left side of the equation right along with the y term. So that means in this equation that we were given, this was slope-intercept form. But we can take that 4x and we need to move it over here with the y term. And we're going to do that by inverse operations. So we move terms by inverse operations. So instead of this being plus 4x, we've got to subtract 4x to move it. This cancels, and this becomes negative 4x. Since the y is positive, it's going to be plus y equals, the only thing that's left is this negative 11, so we bring that down. The only thing we have to remember here is that we want our a is gotta be positive and a whole number. And the question is it positive and a whole number? It is whole, but it's not positive. So to make it positive, we can multiply each term by -1 or just flip all the signs. So this becomes 4x minus y equals positive 11. And here we go. This is standard form. Okay, that's standard form. And now that we have these equations in all three forms, we're done with this one. Now for a table, let's say we have this example. We want to write it in all three forms. We're going to use the same method that we use with 2 points, right? We're going to plug it in the calculator to find the slope-intercept form, use the slope-intercept form to help us with writing our point slope, and then use the slope-intercept form to help us write standard. All right, so get your calculator, turn it on, and go back to stat, press enter, right? Now, there's already something there, so we need to clear out these lists, which we talked about on Friday. Just go up to L2, for instance, press clear, enter, and there you go. You're going to do the same thing for L1. Go up to L1, press clear, enter, and there you go. Now we can plug in the X values, okay? So this would be 10, 20, 30. The Y values go into our L2. So we go over to L2 and type in these Y values, 100, 200, 300. From here, we go press stat again. Use our right arrow to go to calculate, and we want to calculate for a linear equation. So 4, press enter until it gives us what our A and our B is. Notice that, remember we said A is representing the slope. It's the same thing as M, and that's 10. Remember we said B is our y-intercept, which is 0. So when we write our equation, we write y equals 10x plus 0. But we don't have to write the 0. We could just write y equals 10x. And this is our slope-intercept form. Now, we're going to take the slope being 10 and use that over here when we want to write our point slope form. So M is 10. And we're going to use the first point for our x1 and our y1. So x1 will be 10, y1 will be 100. And now we just have to fill it into point slope form. And I'm pretty sure you can go ahead and fill this in yourself. Now, for y1, that's 100. For M, that's 10. And for x1, we said that's 10 as well. So this is our point slope form. Okay. Now, we need standard form. So we're going to take this slope-intercept form and rewrite it over here. And remember, all that means is that the x and the y have to be over here on the left side. So we need to use inverse operations to move it, right? Which means 10x wants back in the house, and we have to do that by the opposite, which is subtract 10x. This cancels. So we have on the left negative 10x, the y is positive, so plus y, equals, there's nothing over here, so it's 0. Now our A it's a whole number, but it's not positive. So we're going to need to switch all of our signs. So this becomes 10x minus y equals, negative 0 is just 0. So we just say equals 0. And now we have our standard form. One more. Now, how do we write an equation in all three forms given a graph? Well, here we go. We're going to use the same method. We're going to choose 2 points from the graph, and then we're going to put it in the calculator to come up with our slope-intercept form, x, y, z. So let's say we have this graph. I already pre-chose some points. So I chose this point, and this point. All right, and here are the points. I'm going to put it in a table, x, y. This first point is negative 4, 1. The second point is 1, 2. And the third point is 6, 3. So I'm going to get my calculator, go back to stat, enter. But I need to clear out my L1 and L2, right? So in L1 is going to go x values, negative 4, 1, 6. And in my L2 is going to be my y values, 1, 2, 3. Now I'm going to press stat, go over to calc, press 4 because I want my linear regression, press enter. And this tells me that the slope is 0.2. If I change that to a fraction, so 0.2 and then tap math, enter, enter, that's just 1/5. And then it gave me that the y-intercept was 1.8, which if I type that in, the fraction of it is 9/5. So when I write my equation, it's y equals 0.2x plus 1.8, or y equals 1/5 x plus 9/5. Now I'm going to use the fraction form here when I write the other forms, and you'll see why in a bit. Okay, number 1, I'm going to use negative 4, 1 for my x1, y1. And we already know the slope is 1/5. So for point slope, I have y minus y1, which is 1, equals m, which is 1/5, times x minus my x1, which is negative 4. Because this is double negative, don't forget that creates a positive. So this is x plus 4. And I have my point slope form. Okay. Finally, I'm going to rewrite my slope-intercept form here because I'm going to use it to help me write this in standard form. Don't forget, in standard form, we have to move this x term to the left side with the y. And we're going to do it by subtraction. This cancels, and we have negative 1/5x plus y equals 9/5. Notice here that this negative 1/5 is not positive and it's not a whole number. So we got some work to do. Whenever we want to get rid of a fraction, we can multiply each of these terms by the denominator. So the denominator here is 5. So we can multiply this first term by 5, this second term by 5, and this last term by 5. But since it's negative and we want it to be positive, we're going to multiply by negative 5. So we can get rid of 2 things at once. So use your calculator to help you out here. Negative 5 times negative 1/5 gives us 1. So this is going to be 1x. And then negative 5 times y is just negative 5y. And finally, 9/5 times negative 5 gives me negative 9. So this is going to be equal negative 9. Our a is 1, which it means is positive and a whole number. And therefore, we're done. This is standard form.